Yo, what's up? Welcome back to a brand new video. I'm Jay Eskar, and today I'm going to show you how I created my newest song titled Breathe. A lot of you liked it, a lot of you didn't like it. Whether you like the song or not, I think this video will be useful if you're just trying to get better at producing or if you're just trying to learn a new trick or two. So let's go right into it, and I'm going to go ahead and show you exactly how I started the track. If I'm being honest, the first thing that I did was actually create a drum loop. And it sounds like this. It's a very, very simple drum loop. Here's the trick. This is how the drum loop sounds like without the trick. Sounds like this. Then we add some hi-hats. Very, very tight. But the secret to making my drum loops a lot more groovy is adding a second kick as a tom. In this case, this is how this one sounds like. I'm just rolling out some of the bass, as you can see here. And I'm also rolling out all the highs. Like, we don't need it because it's supposed to just work as a sort of like tom almost. I'm pretty sure if you spend some time with this, you could actually create toms that are on key as well. Because this is just it's just given rhythm, but there's no harmony to it. Like, there's no melody to it. It's just all about the rhythm. The whole song works that way. I'm using the same drums for pretty much everything. Sometimes I'm adding some hi-hats, sometimes I'm just playing around with a kick. But throughout the whole song, I like using the same sounds over and over again in different ways. If you're creating a song, one of the tips that I can give you is, if you like a sound, for example, a kick, stick to that kick throughout the whole song. Use it on both drops, you can use it on the breaks. What's gonna happen is you're just gonna have to process it differently on a break or process it differently on the, I don't know, the outro or something like that, but it's gonna save you a lot of time and it's gonna make it way easier for people to listen to your music. So that's tip number one. Then, before mixing, tip number two, here's something very, very important. The first part of mixing isn't EQing, isn't leveling, isn't compression, isn't saturation. The first part of mixing comes before even adding any plugin, before even opening any plugin, and that is sound selection. If your sounds are good raw, they will sound great when you mix them, and it's going to be easier for you to mix them. For example, if we listen to this, all of the sounds were chosen with a purpose. I didn't choose a kick that sounds good and then a clap that sounds good by themselves. No. I use a kick that sounds good, and then a clap that sounds good with a kick. And then I use a hi-hat that sounds good with all those three elements. And from there, you can move on to like leveling it and then EQing. But remember, your mixing will never sound good if you don't use good, raw, if you don't have good sound selection. There are many ways on how you can improve your sound selection. And I think one of them is by doing remakes. If you want to improve your sound selection, just create songs that you like and try to get the closest possible to the original sound selection wise. I'm sure you can find a way to recreate those exact same sounds. And also, a more passive way is by listening to good music. When you listen to good music, you will get your ear trained on how good sounds sound. And when it comes to creating music, whenever you're sitting down, you're gonna know. But it's going to be more like a subconscious. When you sit down, you're going to know when a sound is good and when it's not, because you've developed a taste. Now, if I remove all of the effects on drums, they sound like this. And this is how it sounds with effects. As you can see, the difference is unnoticeable. The only thing that I'm doing here is leveling, and I'm also adding a bit of spark if it needs to. So like, for example, the clap, the main clap. I think this clap is beautiful, but without any effects, it sounds like this. And I think it's very cool, but it doesn't have any high frequencies. And what I did here was I added a shaper box and I added a noise filter with pink noise. Let's do it right now. What I do is, first of all, you can loop it. okay? Open your noise oscillator. Click on whatever noise you want, for example, pink noise. And then just simply click. Look at how it sounds. It's not really following the snare, right? So let's click on automatic release and see how it sounds. That's it. Now our clap sounds dull and then amazing. Of course, it can be a bit overpowering or a bit too much, so take the volume down. 63% sounds wonderful. Adding a white noise layer can really improve the energy throughout your whole song. And it should be subtle, like as we did right now. Try not to put too much of it, but you can do it on anything. And when I say anything, I mean anything. For example, that's it for the drums. Just to be clear, that's pretty much it for the drums. For example, during the drop, I am constantly playing a white noise. And this is how it sounds. And just so you notice, just in case you didn't notice, I am actually playing the white noise anytime the leads are playing. This is how the drop sounds without any white noise playing throughout the whole drop. Isn't that boring? And this is how it sounds with white noise, accompanying everything as a layer. So without, with it. Can you guys feel how energetic the drop feels with the white noise? The only thing I'm doing is basically just following the MIDI of the lead, and I'm just adding a white noise that sounds like this. All I'm doing to it is EQing it to get rid of all the lows. It doesn't really have any, but I'm just getting rid of it in case it has any. And then I'm just sidechaining it exactly the same way I'm sidechaining the drop leads and basses. Now, how did I make the drop, right? The first thing that I did to create the drop was actually create a bass line that sounds like this. As you can see, the bass line is very basic. It's A, F, D, A, F, D, A, F, D. That's all it's doing. It's just bum, bum. And again, a very, very, very good trick to improve your melodies, a very good trick to make your music a bit more exciting and less boring would be adding pitch automations. In this, it's always going up or always going down. It's like wow, wow, all the time. It's always like that. This is how the bass line sounds like without any pitch automation. It sounds a lot less bouncy. Let's compare it to the bass with automations. It sort of sounds like it talks. It's three basses, is a sub, simple sub. If you guys have my packs, you know this one. This is the sub I usually use for everything. Then we got a second bass that is just like creating hits. And then we got the main bass line. This is just the bass. And the processing that I'm doing on these is not that big. I'm just getting rid of the lows and that's it. I don't think I'm able to find parametric right now, but I'm just getting rid of the lows. That's all I'm doing. I'm not even spacing it or anything. Like, it's just going straight to the bass. And that's it. For this one, it's also happening the same thing. I'm just getting rid of the lows and rid of the highs. I felt like the bass line, like the sub, wasn't hitting that much, so I added a layer that would add some like punch to it. You know? Now, after I created the bass line, I went ahead and tried to create a melody, and the melody came up sounding like this. And that's how it sounds without any pitch automation, right? This how simple. Then we got another layer, it sounds like this. Simple. Another layer. And another one. As you can hear, of course, they're all leads from my sound bank. I don't want to download an update right now. What do you mean? Yeah, these are all sounds from my sound bank. This is how the lead sounds like without any effects. It's very airy and it barely has any mids. And I added a saturator. And this is how it sounds with effects. As you can hear, I'm destroying the lead with a lot of saturation, and that gives a lot of harmonics. And yeah, my suggestion here is if you're trying to create a sound that sounds a lot more interesting than what other people have, is use distortion. Sometimes when you use distortion in a smart way, you can create sounds that sound so different from what everyone else is doing. And maybe if you create a sort of distortion, a multi-band distortion, in this case, I'm using multi-band distortion. If you create your own multi-band distortion, like let's say preset, and you start adding it to a couple sounds on all of your songs, I'm sure people will start recognizing a signature on your music. Again, another very important thing is not only am I automating the bass line, I'm also automating the leads. I'm automating everything. And the reason why I'm automating everything is because I want to make sure that everything sounds like one thing. Another thing that I did was actually automate the reverb on the leads. Yeah, this is what I did, basically just going up and down, up and down. Sometimes it stays up for a second, then it goes down, and then it's up. And it basically just creates a pull push kind of thing, which again gives it a lot of groove. If you listen to my latest music, you know that my style has been changing a little bit, and what I wanted to do with this track was to create something that sounded like Chakra, like all the songs I used to create before, but with the new style, which includes adding an extra kick. That's part of the style, I guess. And that's it for the breakdown. I mean, for the drop. Where am I? For the transition, it's just introducing the breakdown bass line. Sounds like this. And that's it. And then I then have a vocal that is being like tremolo, and that's it. And then I also have a layer that's like an old school sound. I think it sounds beautiful. When you put it together, it's like it's almost unexpected, and I really like it. And it has the good old Kashmir fills, and that's pretty much it for the drop. Everything around the break is basically a deconstruction of the drop, and it shouldn't be that complicated. All we did was add a bass line, some drums, and a vocal. Of course, it has more things like a string and like a couple impacts and like sounds I recorded in my neighborhood. And when you put it together, it's a very simple song. I'm using on the master, I'm using Luftikus to boost the highs because I don't have Mag EQ, so this is the free version, I guess. And I'm boosting it by 5. I also have a parametric EQ where I'm controlling the highs and the bass. And then I'm also using a Pro MB where I'm actually sidechaining, as you can see here. I'm sidechaining using the bass frequencies for the for the mid frequencies, and that creates. Let me play the drop. This is how it sounds without Pro MB on the master. This is how it sounds with it. It sounds a lot fuller, and what I'm basically doing this, I felt like the bass line was eating everything, and I felt like I want to make sure that whenever the bass line is overloading everything, I want other frequencies to go up too. So that's exactly what we're doing. We're making these frequencies, this range of frequencies from like 350 to 3000, we're making it go up, where it's expanding whenever the bass line is hitting frequency wise, and that's on the master. Besides that, we have an imager where we're making pretty much everything below 200 mono, and then we make it a bit wide, and then we make it a lot less wider, and then for the higher frequencies above 12K, I make it like 30% wider. What else? Then we got a parametric EQ. I don't know why I have another basically stereo imager plugin, but I'm making the lows mono and I'm making the highs a bit wider. So I'm spreading it to the side, and the other one I'm just merging it. I don't know why I did it again, but then I've got this EQ, which I don't suggest you guys do, but it's basically match EQ, where I'm matching the EQ of pink noise to the EQ of my song. And that way I can make sure that my song stays a bit more balanced. Just like pink noise, it's supposed to be the more balanced noise there is. So when you put this, you tend to create some phasing issues, and I suggest you guys not do it because of that, but I did it anyway, because, you know. But afterwards, after that, I added a sausage fattener at 1% as a limiter, and then I have a spaz analyzer where I can see some of the things, and then also a multi-analyzer. Multi-analyzer is the greatest trick of all time. If you guys want me to talk about it in a video, I can show you guys how I use it to mix and master way better than I used to before. I gotta be honest with you guys, I don't want to leave. That's why I'm just making this video longer and longer. I haven't made a video in a long time, and it feels good to create videos. What do you guys say? Should I make more videos? Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you had a good time, and I hope you guys learned something. The only reason why I do this is because I want you guys to learn something. I'm not doing this to promote the song. Of course, if you want to go listen to the song, go ahead and listen to it. Whether you like the song or not, maybe you'll learn something. Anyways, it was good seeing you guys. I think we'll see each other very soon. Might show you some of the other tracks that I've released and haven't made a video for. I don't know, just let me know in the comments if you would like to see something else, or maybe if you want me to teach you something that you don't know, or maybe that I've never talked about. Yeah, I'm Jay Eskar, and this was explaining how I made my song Breathe. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you very, very soon, okay? Bye-bye.